Imagine a world long before us, a time when giants roamed the earth and the very skies were ruled by titans. We're in the Miocene epoch, about 6 million years ago, across the vast, sweeping plains of what is now Argentina. Thunderclouds gather on the horizon, painting the sky in shades of bruised purple and angry gray. The wind howls, bending the tall grasses in frantic, sweeping waves. And then a shadow falls. Not just any shadow, but a colossal, moving darkness that blots out the sun, racing across the landscape faster than a galloping horse. On the ground, herds of bizarre, hippo-like mammals, known as astropathers, freeze mid-stride. Giant, flightless terror birds, the furrish usually the apex predators, here look up with what can only be described as apprehension. Something immense is coming. This isn't just a storm cloud, it's alive. From a high cliff edge, a creature of almost mythical proportions launches itself into the turbulent air. This is Argentavis magnificens, the magnificent Argentine bird. With a wingspan stretching over 23 feet, wider than a modern fighter jet, its initial takeoff is a feat of nature. It uses the powerful winds and the slope of the land to gain purchase. A few thunderous flaps of its gigantic wings, and then it's airborne. Each feather, as long as a samurai sword, slices through the wind with a low whistle. Argentavis doesn't just fly, it commands the sky. This bird ruled the heavens long before humans ever dreamed of flight in a wild, untamed earth. Welcome to the world of the largest flying bird ever known. So, how did a creature this massive even get off the ground? And what was it like to witness this behemoth soaring overhead? Let's dive into the incredible life of Argentavis. First, let's tackle the biggest question: flight. For a bird weighing up to 150 pounds, getting airborne wasn't as simple as just flapping its wings. Modern condors, its distant relatives, give us some clues. Argentavis was likely a master of soaring, much like a living glider. The Andes Mountains, which were forming during this period, would have created powerful air currents, perfect for a giant like Argentavis to ride. Imagine it circling higher and higher, a tiny speck against the vast blue, before setting off on its journey across the pampas. Once it was up there, it could probably stay aloft for hours, covering hundreds of miles in a single day, barely needing to flap its wings. Its flight was a picture of efficiency and power. Scientists believe its top speed, while gliding, could have reached over 40 miles per hour. So what did this aerial giant eat? With its massive size, you might picture it swooping down and carrying off large prey like some mythical ROC. But the reality is probably a bit different and even more fascinating. The structure of Argentavis's feet suggests they weren't well suited for grasping and killing large, struggling animals like an eagle's talons are. They were strong, but not built for the same kind of predatory strike. Instead, Argentavis was likely a masterful scavenger. Think of it as the ultimate opportunist. Its gape was enormous, wide enough to swallow animals the size of a rabbit in one gulp. The Miocene landscape of South America was a vibrant and dangerous place. It was a world of grasslands dotted with forests, a precursor to the modern pampas. This environment supported a huge diversity of life, creating the perfect ecosystem for a giant scavenger. Herds of strange hoofed mammals called lidopones and notungulates, which have no modern equivalent, were everywhere. These were the primary food source for a host of predators, and in turn, for Argentavis. Life wasn't just about finding food, it was also about continuing the species because of their enormous size and slow growth rate. It's believed Argentavis had a very slow reproductive cycle, much like large birds of prey today. They probably laid only 1 or 2 eggs every couple of years. These eggs were huge, likely weighing over 2 pounds each. Nesting sites would have been chosen carefully to be safe from ground predators. High, inaccessible cliff ledges would have been ideal. The parents would have shared incubation duties and the monumental task of feeding their chick. A young Argentavis would have been dependent on its parents for a very long time, perhaps over a year, before it was large enough and skilled enough to fledge and face the world on its own. This slow and steady approach to life meant that Argentavis probably lived for a very long time, perhaps 50 to 100 years, soaring over the South American plains for decades. So, if Argentavis was so successful, so perfectly adapted to its environment, why isn't it still soaring over the Andes today? The story of its extinction is a lesson in how even the most magnificent creatures are subject to the whims of a changing planet. As the Miocene gave way to the Pliocene and Pleistocene epochs, the world began to change. Global climates cooled, and the vast grasslands of South America started to shift. These climatic changes had a ripple effect across the entire ecosystem. Competition also increased. The formation of the Isthmus of Panama created a land bridge connecting North and South America, leading to an event biologists call the Great American Biotic Interchange. New, highly efficient predators and scavengers migrated south, including bears, wolves, and new types of cats. This introduced new pressures on the native South American fauna. For a specialist giant like Argentavis, which relied on specific conditions and a plentiful supply of large carcasses, these changes were catastrophic. Its slow reproductive rate, once a successful strategy, now became a liability. It couldn't adapt and repopulate quickly enough to keep up with the rapidly changing world. The thermals it relied on may have become less reliable with the changing climate, and its food sources dwindled. Slowly but surely, the magnificent Argentine bird flew towards extinction. Its reign ended around 6 million years ago, but its legacy is fossilized in the rocks of Argentina. The discovery of its bones, particularly a remarkably complete skeleton found in the 1980s, opened a window into this lost world. These fossils allow us to reconstruct not just what Argentavis looked like, but how it lived, how it flew, and how it dominated its environment. Argentavis magnificens stands as a testament to the incredible possibilities of evolution. It pushes the very limits of what we thought was possible for a flying animal. When we look up at a soaring eagle or a condor today, we are seeing a faint echo of this ancient sky titan. They are a living link to a time when the shadows passing overhead were truly colossal, a reminder that the world we know is just one chapter in Earth's immense and spectacular history. The sky once belonged to Argentavis, and that's a truly magnificent thought. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you were amazed by the story of Argentavis, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into our planet's incredible past. Let me know in the comments what prehistoric giant you want to see next. See you in the next one. Imagine a world where the skies were ruled by giants. Not dragons or mythical beasts, but birds of a truly epic scale. High in the desolate crags of ancient South America, some 6 million years ago, a creature unlike any other made its home. This is the story of Argentavis magnificens, the largest flying bird ever known to exist. Our journey begins on a sheer cliff face, hundreds of feet above the sweeping plains. Here, a pair of Argentavis have built their nest. It's a rugged, sprawling collection of sticks and branches, a fortress against the elements. And inside, resting on a bed of softer vegetation, are the eggs. Each one is massive, larger than an ostrich egg, a testament to the colossal life developing within. The parents move with a slow, deliberate grace, their immense size belying a gentle, protective nature. They are guardians of the next generation, their sharp eyes constantly scanning the horizon for any potential threat. The incubation period is long, a patient wait under the relentless prehistoric sun. But finally, a crack appears, then another. Soon, the shells give way to reveal to downy hatchlings. They are clumsy and small compared to their parents, but even at this early stage, you can see the promise of their future immensity. Their beaks are already hooked, their feet already large. For these young birds, the race to grow has begun. Life in the nest is a constant cycle of feeding and growing. The parents are tireless providers, soaring far and wide across the pampas to hunt. They bring back scavenged carcasses and small prey, tearing off manageable pieces for their hungry offspring. The chick's appetite is insatiable. With each passing day, they visibly transform. The soft down gives way to the first pin feathers, which slowly unfurl into the broad, powerful flight feathers that will one day carry them through the sky. They grow at an astonishing rate, doubling in size, then tripling, their bodies fueled by a high-protein diet. You can almost see their wings stretching wider with each passing season, a silent, steady preparation for their first leap of faith. Let's take a closer look at the anatomy that made this giant tick. The most striking feature, of course, was its wingspan. Stretching up to 23 feet, or 7 meters, it was comparable to a modern-day light aircraft. These weren't just wings, they were marvels of biological engineering. To support such a structure, Argentavis had incredibly strong pectoral muscles anchored to a deep keel bone on its chest. But strength alone wasn't enough. The secret to its flight lay in the bones themselves. Like modern birds, its bones were hollow and filled with air sacs connected to its respiratory system. This pneumatic system made the massive skeleton remarkably lightweight for its size, a crucial adaptation for getting and staying airborne. Without these hollow bones, a bird of this scale would have been simply too heavy to fly. Its beak was another formidable tool. Large and hooked at the tip, it was perfectly designed for tearing into flesh. While it wasn't delicate enough for intricate tasks, it was a powerful instrument for dispatching small prey and ripping apart the tough hides of scavenged animals. And then there were the talons. Though not as specialized for grasping as a modern eagle's, they were large, strong, and sharp, capable of holding on to prey or providing a secure grip on treacherous cliff ledges. Every part of Argentavis, from the tip of its beak to the end of its tail feathers, was a masterpiece of evolution, honed for survival in a world of giants. Back at the nest, the fledglings are nearly the size of their parents. Their juvenile feathers have been replaced by the sleek, dark plumage of an adult. They stand at the edge of the nest, peering down at the world below. The instinct to fly is stirring, but instinct alone is not enough. Now, the real lessons begin. The parents become instructors. They don't push their young out of the nest. Instead, they demonstrate, launching from the cliff edge. They show the fledglings how to catch the wind. Argentavis was too large and heavy for a powerful, flapping takeoff from a standstill. It relied on the wind and terrain. The parents teach their young to face into the wind, to spread their enormous wings and feel the lift generated by the air flowing over them. They demonstrate how to use a running start, galloping down a slight slope to gain the necessary speed for liftoff. It's a nerve-wracking process. The young birds are hesitant, making short, clumsy hops, feeling the air under their wings for the first time. The parents circle patiently, calling encouragement, their presence a source of reassurance. The most critical lesson is how to ride the wind. Argentavis was a master of soaring, an energy-efficient flight style, perfect for covering vast distances. The parents lead their young into thermal updrafts, rising columns of warm air, showing them how to circle within these invisible elevators, gaining altitude without a single flap. They demonstrate how to read the landscape, to see the subtle signs of rising air over sun-warmed ground. They are teaching their offspring to become one with the air, to understand its currents and moods as intimately as they understand the ground beneath their feet. Finally, the day comes. One of the fledglings, bolder than its sibling, stands at the precipice. It faces the wind, its wings held wide. It takes a few running steps, and then, with a powerful leap, it launches into the void. For a heart-stopping moment, it drops, but then its wings catch the air. Instinct and training take over. It finds its balance, angles its wings, and begins to soar. It has done it. It is flying. Its sibling soon follows, and for the first time, the family of 4 soars together. They are a breathtaking sight against the dramatic backdrop of the setting sun, their massive silhouettes casting long shadows over the plains below. The long, patient journey from egg to sky ruler is complete. A new generation of giants has taken to the air. The story of Argentavis magnificens is more than just the tale of a big bird. It's a profound look into the power of evolution and the incredible ways life adapts to its environment. It's a reminder that our planet was once home to creatures that defy our modern imagination, creatures that ruled the skies with a majesty we can now only glimpse through the fossil record. Thank you for joining us on this journey back in time. If you were fascinated by the story of this magnificent bird, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the incredible lost worlds of prehistory. We'll see you on the next adventure. Imagine a bird so immense its shadow could darken an entire landscape. This wasn't a creature of myth, but a real-life titan of the prehistoric skies. Argentavis magnificens, with a wingspan stretching up to 23 feet, the length of a small bus. This was the largest flying bird ever known to exist. For 6 million years, during the late Miocene, it ruled the skies over what is now Argentina. Its name literally means magnificent Argentine bird, and it's a title this creature earned in every sense of the word. Argentavis was more than double that. It stood as tall as a person, around 6 feet high, and weighed up to 150 pounds. Just think about that. A bird weighing as much as an adult human taking to the air. It's a concept that almost defies belief, pushing the very limits of what we thought was possible for flight. So, how did such a colossal creature get airborne? It wasn't through sheer muscle power alone. Flapping wings of that size would have required an impossible amount of energy. Instead, Argentavis was a master of the unseen forces of the air. It was a soaring machine, perfected by millions of years of evolution. Much like a modern-day glider pilot, it relied on thermal updrafts and wind currents to do the heavy lifting. Picture the scene: the vast, open plains and rolling foothills of ancient South America. Argentavis, with its enormous wings, was exquisitely designed to ride these invisible elevators. It would launch from a high point, perhaps a cliff or a slope, using the wind to gain initial lift. Once airborne, it would circle within a thermal, gaining altitude with almost no effort, just minor adjustments of its massive wings and tail feathers. Scientists estimate it could have cruised at an average speed of around 40 miles per hour, covering vast territories in its search for food. This energy-efficient strategy was the key to its survival. The world from Argentavis's perspective would have been breathtaking, a panoramic, high-definition view of a prehistoric landscape teeming with life. For a long time, scientists debated whether Argentavis was a fearsome predator or a scavenger. Its sheer size suggested it could be a formidable hunter, capable of snatching up large prey. However, a closer look at its anatomy tells a slightly different story. Its beak was huge and hooked, perfect for tearing flesh. But its feet and talons weren't as powerful as those of a modern eagle, which uses its claws for a killing grip. This suggests Argentavis wasn't built for grappling with large, struggling animals. It would soar over the pampas, its keen eyes scanning for the telltale signs of a fresh carcass, perhaps a large mammal that had succumbed to injury or illness. Arriving at the scene, its intimidating size would have been enough to scare off any other smaller scavengers, granting it first rights to the feast. But it probably didn't pass up an easy meal either. Small to medium-sized mammals, reptiles, or the young of larger animals, if caught out in the open, would have been vulnerable. Argentavis could have swooped down, using its massive size and sharp beak to disable and swallow its prey whole. It didn't need to be a nimble, high-speed hunter like a falcon. The mere sight of its silhouette crossing the sun would have sent smaller creatures scattering for cover, a primal fear hardwired into their instincts. Landing a 150-pound flying machine is no easy task. Coming in for a landing, Argentavis would have been a truly awe-inspiring sight. It would approach its landing zone, likely a clear, open area, with its huge wings angled to act as air brakes. Its legs would drop down, ready to absorb the impact. The final moments would have been a controlled stall, flaring its wings to dump all remaining speed just before its feet touched the ground. The impact would have been significant, a ground-shaking thud announcing the giant's return to Earth. It might have taken a few running steps to come to a complete stop, folding its colossal wings with a rustle of giant feathers. For millions of years, Argentavis was the undisputed king of its domain. Its evolutionary strategy was a staggering success, but like all great dynasties, its reign eventually came to an end. Around 6 million years ago, as the climate began to change and the landscape of South America shifted, Argentavis disappeared from the fossil record. The exact reasons for its extinction are still being studied. It could have been changes in the availability of large carcasses, shifts in the prevailing wind patterns it relied upon, or a combination of many factors. Even in extinction, Argentavis leaves us with a profound sense of wonder. It's a reminder that the world of the past was home to creatures far grander and more magnificent than we can often imagine. When we look up at a soaring eagle or a condor today, We are seeing a faint echo of the true giants that once commanded the skies. The magnificent Argentine bird may be gone, but its story continues to inspire awe, reminding us of the sheer scale and power of life on Earth. Thank you for joining us on this journey back in time. If you were captivated by the story of this incredible bird, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more explorations into the lost worlds of our planet. See you next time. 7 million years ago, the skies over South America belonged to a giant. This was the reign of Argentavis magnificens, the largest flying bird known to have ever existed. With a wingspan stretching up to 7 meters, wider than a modern light aircraft, it was a true titan of the air. Imagine a shadow falling over the vast plains, a shadow cast by a creature that could soar for hours, effortlessly riding the thermal updrafts, its kingdom sprawling beneath it. From its vantage point, hundreds, sometimes thousands of feet in the air, Argentavis was the ultimate scout. Its eyes, honed by millions of years of evolution, were biological marvels capable of spotting the slightest movement on the ground below. It wasn't just looking for a meal. It was reading the landscape, interpreting the drama of life and death unfolding across the savanna. A herd of hoofed mammals on the move, a plume of dust in the distance, the glint of sunlight off a predator's coat. Nothing escaped its notice. This was a world of giants, and from the sky, Argentavis watched them all. Life on the Pliocene plains was a constant struggle. For most creatures, survival meant avoiding the attention of the era's apex predators, the formidable saber-toothed cats like Smilodon, with their devastating canine teeth, and the fairish reshids, or terror birds, bipedal carnivores that hunted with brutal efficiency. But Argentavis operated on a different plane, both literally and figuratively. It was a master of opportunity, a scavenger par excellence. Its primary strategy was not a direct hunt, but a patient, calculated wait. This was the moment Argentavis was built for. The feast was far from over. It had merely entered its next phase. When Argentavis decided to descend, it was an awe-inspiring spectacle. Tilting its enormous wings, it would begin a controlled, spiraling dive, its speed increasing with every passing moment. To the creatures on the ground, it would have appeared as a speck that grew alarmingly fast, transforming into a winged behemoth, blotting out the sun. The sound of air rushing over its massive flight feathers would have been a terrifying announcement of its arrival. This was not a stealthy approach. It was a declaration of dominance. Landing with a surprising grace for its size, Argentavis would stride toward the kill. Its sheer scale was its greatest weapon. Standing taller than a human, with a powerful, hooked beak designed for tearing, it was an intimidating sight. Even the most successful predators of the day paused at its approach. A saber-toothed cat, possessive of its hard-won meal, would look up and see a creature that dwarfed it, a bird whose wings could deliver powerful, bone-breaking blows. Often, a standoff was unnecessary. The psychological impact of Argentavis's arrival was enough. Other scavengers and smaller predators would scatter, unwilling to challenge the Sky Titan. Even a mighty terror bird, itself an apex hunter, would often yield. While the terror bird was a formidable ground-based killer, Argentavis was a different kind of power. Its size, its confidence, and the sheer alien nature of such a colossal bird descending from the heavens were often enough to secure its prize without a fight. With the carcass cleared of rivals, Argentavis would begin to feed. Its powerful beak, A formidable tool, could rip through the thickest hide, tearing away huge chunks of meat and skin. It was capable of swallowing prey as large as a hair hole. But with these megafauna carcasses, it was a process of systematic dismantling. It would gorge itself, consuming dozens of pounds of meat in a single sitting. This was crucial for its survival. As a creature that expended immense energy to get airborne and stay aloft, it needed to maximize its caloric intake whenever the opportunity arose. It couldn't afford to be a picky eater. These feeding frenzies were not just about sustenance, they were about reinforcing its place in the ecosystem's hierarchy. By dominating the largest kills, Argentavis ensured it had access to the most nutrient-rich resources, asserting its role not just as a scavenger, but as the ultimate opportunist, a cleaner of the plains who answered to no other predator. But what about hunting? While scavenging was its primary lifestyle, a creature of this size and power was undoubtedly capable of more. It's likely Argentavis was an active predator when the situation demanded it. It wouldn't have chased down the fastest herbivores, but smaller, more vulnerable prey would have been on its menu. From the air, it could spot a young animal separated from its herd or a medium-sized mammal caught in the open. Its attack would have been swift and decisive. A steep dive, talons extended, not to grasp and carry away like an eaglet, was too large for that butt to strike and stun. Or it would land near its target and use its size and powerful beak to dispatch it quickly on the ground. This flexibility made Argentavis incredibly successful. It was not just a vulture on a grand scale. It was a predator, a scavenger, and a bully, adapting its strategy to whatever the unforgiving Pliocene world threw at it. The life of Argentavis was a cycle of soaring and feasting. After gorging on a carcass, the bird would be heavy, sometimes too heavy for an easy takeoff. It would need a running start, flapping its immense wings to build up speed. Much like a modern albatross, it would run into the wind, using the lift to finally heave its massive body into the air. Once airborne, it would seek out the thermal columns, rising columns of warm air that acted as natural elevators. Riding these thermals, it could climb to great heights with minimal effort, conserving precious energy. From there, it would glide for miles, its enormous wingspan allowing it to travel vast distances in search of its next meal. This energy-efficient style of flight was the key to its reign. It allowed a creature of such impossible size to exist, to thrive, and to dominate the skies for millions of years. The world of Argentavis eventually came to an end. Climate change, shifts in the landscape, and the disappearance of the megafauna it depended on all contributed to its decline. As the giant mammals vanished, so did the giant carcasses that sustained the sky titan. The ecosystem that had supported such a magnificent creature was changing, and Argentavis, for all its power, could not adapt quickly enough. Today, all that remains are fossilized bones, fragments that give us a glimpse into the life of this incredible bird. But in these bones, we find the story of a true marvel of evolution. A creature that pushed the very limits of what is possible for a flying animal. Argentavis magnificens was more than just a giant bird. It was the undisputed ruler of the prehistoric skies, a scavenger king, a formidable predator, and a testament to the spectacular forms that life on Earth can take. Its shadow may no longer cross the plains, but its legacy is etched into the story of our planet, a reminder of a time when giants truly soared. Thank you for watching. If you found this journey back in time fascinating, Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into our planet's incredible past. The world is changing. 6 million years ago, a giant reigned over the skies of what we now call Argentina. Argentavis magnificens, the magnificent Argentine bird, with a wingspan stretching up to 7 meters. It was one of the largest flying birds ever to exist. Imagine a creature heavier than an adult human, soaring on thermal updrafts, a true master of the air. For millennia, this was their kingdom. The vast pampas grasslands below were a smorgasbord, teeming with life. From here, high above, Argentavis would scan the plains, a shadow passing over countless herds of prehistoric mammals. Its life was a delicate dance with the wind and the land. But the world does not stand still. The music of the planet began to change its tune. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the climate started to shift. The reliable patterns of wet and dry seasons grew erratic. The once lush, endless grasslands began to shrink, giving way to more arid, scrubby landscapes. This wasn't a sudden catastrophe, but a slow, grinding transformation that rippled through the entire ecosystem. For a creature so exquisitely adapted to a specific environment, even a small change can have monumental consequences. The foundation of the Argentavis's world was beginning to crack. As the grasslands changed, so did the life they supported. The large, slow-moving mammals that were the preferred prey of Argentavis found their grazing lands diminishing. Their populations started to decline, scattering into smaller, more disparate groups. The once bountiful buffet was closing down. For the great bird, this meant longer flights, more energy expended for less reward. The hunt became a desperate gamble rather than a confident certainty. The sky, once a domain of effortless mastery, was now a vast, lonely expanse where the search for food grew more and more challenging each day. Competition for the dwindling resources grew fierce. Other large predators, both on the ground and in the air, felt the same pressure. Saber-toothed cats, terror birds, and other carnivores were all vying for a piece of a shrinking pie. This created a landscape of tension and conflict. An Argentavis, despite its size, was not invincible. A carcass on the ground would attract a host of hungry mouths, and defending a kill became a dangerous, energy-sapping ordeal. Every meal won was a battle fought, and every calorie burned in conflict was a calorie that couldn't be used for flight, for nesting, for survival. The invisible web of life was tightening, and the giant bird was feeling the squeeze. Perhaps the greatest challenge, however, came not from other predators, but from physics itself. A bird of this colossal size couldn't simply leap into the air. Argentavis was a glider, not a flapper. It relied on wind and elevation to launch its massive body into the sky. It needed sloping terrain, hillsides, and cliffs facing into the wind to get airborne, much like a modern hang glider pilot. As the landscape changed, these ideal launch points became scarcer. A flat, arid plain offered no purchase for the wind. Being grounded was a death sentence. An Argentavis trapped on the flatlands was vulnerable, exposed, and utterly powerless. Its greatest asset, its magnificent flight, was entirely dependent on the shape of the land beneath it. And then, a new figure appeared on the horizon. Small, bipedal, and deceptively clever. Early humans. At first, they were likely just distant observers, another creature navigating this changing world. But they were different. They possessed tools. They communicated. They were patient hunters, capable of tracking and outwitting prey far larger and stronger than themselves. They learned to read the land, to understand the wind, and to see the vulnerabilities of even the most powerful animals. To them, a grounded Argentavis wouldn't have been a magnificent king of the sky, but an opportunity, a huge source of food, unable to escape. We can only imagine the final days of the Argentavis. We see a lone individual, old and weary. The familiar thermals feel weaker, the winds less reliable. The ground below is a patchwork of brown and dusty green, a pale imitation of the vibrant plains of its youth. It scans the horizon for hours, but the herds are gone. Its hunger is a constant, gnawing ache. It lands near a small stream, its legs stiff, its massive wings a heavy burden. It looks for a slope, a ridge to catch the breeze, but finds only flat, unforgiving earth. In the distance, it sees the flicker of a fire, the silhouettes of the small, upright figures. They watch and wait. The story of Argentavis is a profound and melancholic one. It's a story about the fragility of giants, a reminder that even the most spectacular forms of life are utterly dependent on the world that supports them. It wasn't a meteor, a volcano, or a single dramatic event that brought about its end. It was a slow, inexorable shift, a world that simply changed, moving on without it. Its extinction is a silent testament to the powerful, unrelenting forces of climate and environmental change. It teaches us that size and strength are no guarantee of survival when the very ground beneath your feet and the air that holds you aloft begin to transform. The magnificent bird, once the master of the South American skies, faded into memory, leaving behind only fossilized bones and a powerful lesson for the species that would one day inherit the earth. Thank you for watching. If you found this journey into the past meaningful, please consider subscribing for more stories from our planet's deep history. Imagine a world where the sky was ruled by a titan, not a myth, but a creature of flesh and feather, a bird so immense it blotted out the sun. This is the story of Argentavis magnificens, the magnificent Argentine bird, and its final, lonely flight. Our story begins 6 million years ago, on a wind-swept cliff in what is now Argentina. The air is cold, biting. A lone figure stands at the precipice. It's an Argentavis, old and weary, its feathers ruffled by the relentless Patagonian winds. Its wingspan, a staggering 23 feet, wider than a small plane, is held tight against its body. It has lived a long life, perhaps 100 years, soaring on the thermal currents, a master of the sky. But time has taken its toll. Its once powerful muscles ache, and the sharp eyes that could spot prey from miles above are now clouded with age. Below, the landscape stretches out, a canvas of arid plains and jagged peaks. This is its kingdom, a domain it has ruled since it first hatched. The wind is its ally, its engine. Without it, a creature this large, weighing over 150 pounds, is a prisoner of the earth. Flight for Argentavis wasn't a matter of flapping wings. It was a dance with the wind, a calculated leap of faith. They were glider pilots, not power flyers. They needed a slope, a headwind, and a heart full of courage. Our ancient bird shuffles to the edge. The wind is picking up, a familiar song it has heard 1,000 times before. It's a good wind, strong and steady from the west. It's now or never. The bird stretches its enormous wings, a living sail ready to catch the breeze. Each feather, a marvel of engineering, adjusts, preparing to cup the air and lift this giant off the ground. It takes a few running steps, a clumsy, thundering gait for a creature so graceful in the air. Its massive legs propel it forward, closer and closer to the drop. This is the moment of truth. It leaps. For a glorious second, it hangs in the air, the wind catching beneath its wings. It's working. The ground falls away, and the familiar sensation of lift, of freedom, surges through its body. It banks a slow, majestic turn, its shadow a fleeting cloud racing across the plains below. The sky welcomes it back. It is home, but the sky is a fickle master. As the Argentavis circles, seeking a thermal to carry it higher, the wind shifts. Abruptly, without warning, the steady westerly gale dies, replaced by chaotic, swirling gusts. The lift vanishes. The bird's wings, built for soaring, struggle against the turbulence. It flaps, a desperate, powerful motion, but it's not enough. The energy required is immense, far more than its aging body can sustain. It's like a master sailor caught in a storm with a torn sail. Panic begins to set in. It loses altitude, dropping faster now. The ground rushes up to meet it. It twists, trying to angle its wings to catch a stray current, any pocket of rising air that can save it. But there is nothing. The plains below, once a hunting ground, are now a threat. A hard landing from this height, for a creature this heavy, would be catastrophic. Its hollow bones, a marvel of lightweight design for flight, are also terribly fragile. With a final, desperate effort, it tries to pull up, its great head straining, its beak open in a silent cry. But the sky offers no support. It is empty. Its final flight ends not in a graceful landing, but in a jarring, bone-shattering crash. Silence descends upon the plains, broken only by the mournful whistle of the wind. The last giant has fallen. The sky, once its kingdom, is now just an empty, blue expanse. Its shadow is gone, and the world is a little smaller, a little less magical. For millions of years, the story of Argentavis lay buried, its bones slowly turning to stone beneath layers of earth. The world changed. Mountains rose, ice ages came and went, and a new, clever species of primate began to walk upright, looking to the sky and dreaming of flight. But they could never imagine the scale of what had come before. Fast forward to our time. A team of paleontologists kneels in the dusty Argentine badlands. The sun beats down. With gentle brushes and delicate picks, they uncover a secret the Earth has kept for 6 million years. A bone. But not just any bone. It's a humerus, the upper arm bone, and it's nearly the length of a human arm. As more fossils emerge from the rock, a picture begins to form. They unearth a skull the size of a horse's, a beak strong enough to swallow prey whole. They are looking at the remains of a bird that defies imagination. Back in the lab, the painstaking work of reconstruction begins. Scientists use computers and advanced modeling to piece together this prehistoric puzzle. They scan the fossils, measure the angles of the joints, and calculate the stresses the bones could withstand. They study the wings of modern soaring birds, like condors and albatrosses, to understand the principles of flight on such a monumental scale. The evidence points to one inescapable conclusion. Argentavis was a master of soaring, capable of staying aloft for hours, covering hundreds of miles a day with minimal effort, riding the highways of the wind. Imagine walking into a museum today. You pass skeletons of dinosaurs, displays of ancient mammals, and then you see it. Suspended from the ceiling, a full-scale reconstruction of Argentavis magnificence. You stand beneath it, craning your neck, trying to take it all in. The sheer size is breathtaking. Its wingspan dwarfs everything around it. You can see every detail, from the hook on its beak to the massive talons on its feet. It feels less like a skeleton and more like a ghost, a phantom from a lost world. You look at your own arms and try to picture them spanning 23 feet. It's impossible. We think of ourselves as the masters of this planet, the pinnacle of evolution. We build machines to conquer the sky, but nature, millions of years ago, had already created a flying creature that would humble our most advanced aircraft. We see birds every day, sparrows, pigeons, eagles, but we have no true frame of reference for what it would be like to see an Argentavis darken the sky. Think about that for a moment. An animal weighing as much as a man, soaring effortlessly a mile above the earth. A shadow passing over you that isn't a cloud. The call of a bird, so powerful it would echo across valleys. It's a world we can barely comprehend, a world of giants. The disappearance of Argentavis is a mystery shrouded in time. Perhaps it was climate change. As the Andes mountains rose, they altered wind patterns, disrupting the very currents the birds relied on to survive. The thermals they surfed like invisible waves may have weakened or vanished. Perhaps their food sources dwindled. Or maybe, like our lone bird on the cliff, they simply reached the end of their evolutionary road. A design so specialized, so perfectly adapted to one specific set of conditions, that it couldn't survive when those conditions changed. Their extinction left a void in the sky that has never been filled. No bird has ever grown so large again. They were the last of their kind, the ultimate expression of avian evolution. Their story is a powerful reminder of the grandeur and fragility of life on Earth. It teaches us that even the most magnificent of rulers can fall, and that the world we see today is just a fleeting snapshot in the immense album of geological time. So next time you look up at the sky, at the empty canvas of blue and white clouds, take a moment. Let your imagination soar. Picture a shadow gliding across the sun. Hear the faint rush of wind over giant wings. Remember that this sky, our sky, once belonged to a giant. The king of the skies may be gone, but its story is written in the bones of the earth, a testament to a time when monsters were real and they ruled the air. Thanks for joining us on this journey back in time. If you were captivated by the story of Argentavis, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more tales from our planet's incredible past. Until next time, keep looking up.